You're listening to the 49 Carats podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
Oh my goodness. Didn't even have any of my didn't have my camera on. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is a beautiful Monday, November 24th. We just finished watching the 49ers on Monday Night Football, beating the Carolina Panthers 20-9. Not the type of game I was expecting from the 49ers, or just in general from this point standpoint. I was expecting the 49ers score 30-plus points, and I was expecting the Panthers to maybe put up a little bit more points as well. Panthers coming into this game missing a couple of linebackers. I thought to myself, hey, this is a great opportunity for Brock Purdy to get some throws going over the middle, to dominate on offense and keep this offense moving once again. Boy, was I wrong about the Brock Purdy part. So let's talk about this game first by talking about the first half, because it was a disaster class from Brock Purdy, who looked intent on throwing this game away in the first half. And I got this little tidbit. Nick Wagner posted this on Twitter earlier. It is the second time in his career that 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has thrown multiple interceptions in the first half. The other one was also Monday Night Football. That Christmas game, you guys remember that? 2023, that Christmas Monday Night Football game against the Ravens. Yeah, I wish I could erase that one from my memory, but this one was up there with that. Except this time the 49ers got the win. So, hey, but Brock Purdy, I guess, just doesn't do so well on Monday Night Football. Even before tonight, he was 2 of 3 on Monday night, 4 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. After tonight, 3-3 record. And let's see, he tacked on 3 more interceptions. So he's got 11 interceptions to how many touchdowns did he pass today? 1. So you do the math, 5 to 11 interceptions on Monday Night Football and in his career. So not great for Brock Purdy, and also not great. He's thrown at least 2 interceptions in 3 of the 4 games that he's played this year. Now, one of those games was the game in which he came back far from 100% against the Jags, but even still, this was the Carolina Panthers defense, people. So it was definitely concerning to see how things went down for Brock Purdy in this game, trying to be a little too over-aggressive. I saw people say that, hey, it was the right decision. Even Kyle Shanahan, when they spoke to him at halftime, he did say it was the right read, but couldn't get the throw thrown accurately. And I think that's really what it all comes down to. Usually sometimes when Brock Purdy throws interceptions, I don't want to say usually, but sometimes when he throws interceptions, it is the right decision. But at the same time, he doesn't have the arm to deliver and execute on some of the passes that he attempts, which is what leads to the pick, right? And by that, I do feel like he should kind of know the limitations of his arm by now. But, evidently that did lead to a couple of the picks. J.C. Horn had 2 of the interceptions today. And J.C. Horn actually ended up leaving this game in, I believe it was the third quarter, and pretty early in the third quarter, the 49ers' second offensive drive of the third quarter. So that ended up looming large, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But also after that, the 49ers just went back to what worked, which was the ground game. Carolina couldn't stop it all game. So let's rehash everything else that happened in this one. So the 49ers get the ball first. And that first play, 15 plays, 72 yards, 8 minutes, 42 seconds off the clock. And by the way, I feel like this game went by so fast because once the 49ers were running the ball, I mean, it breezed through. You're just running so much clock. And the time of possession ended up being 37 minutes for the 49ers to the Panthers 22. So, yeah, huge part of the game at one point for the 49ers to just, try to play keep away. But they started off hot, with Christian McCaffrey. And whatever the run game equivalent of dink and dunk is, that's exactly what the 49ers were doing. It wasn't like big chunk yardage, but it was like 3-4 yards at a time for Christian McCaffrey. But every time, you're going to get that first down. You're going to convert on third down if you need to. So that's pretty much what the story was for the 49ers when they decided to run the ball. And on that first drive, Juwan Jennings actually ended up getting the first touchdown where he bounced off of 3 Panthers defenders who missed their tackle. And so the 49ers went up. And the Carolina Panthers looked awful, like in the first half. They looked awful most of this game. I would say like 90% of this game, 95% of this game, they looked awful. They could not get anything going. So it looks like early in the game, that first quarter, like the 49ers were primed to maybe really dominate, right? And then that's when the Brock Purdy interception happened and Carolina gets the ball in really good field position. In fact, their drive started at 49ers 16-yard line. I mean, they were primed to score, whether it be a field goal or not, but that's when Jair Brown got one of his 2 interceptions of the night and got it right back to 49ers. So really that first interception, they ended up canceling each other out a little bit and, no harm, no foul on the first. Then on the following 2 49ers drives, 2 back-to-back interceptions from Brock Purdy. I mean, I don't know what he was doing, to be quite honest with you. The second interception in the first one in the second quarter was on a 3rd and 6, and Purdy just targeting Pearsall in the red zone, in the end zone, actually. He could have had George Kittle underneath, went for the more aggressive throw. Brock Purdy, he's an aggressive guy. He's going to go for it. But again, like, it's a give and take. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes it doesn't because, again, he doesn't always have the arm to execute on the throw. So that one was just behind Pearsall. And I forgot who picked that one off. But, yeah, the defender was right there to pick that one off. So both quarterbacks, Bryce Young and Brock Purdy, threw interceptions in the end zone today. They were having a mid-off in the first half for sure. And then Brock Purdy's 3rd interception came after so this is where the game just felt really weird. Like, if at this point in the game, I was convinced the 49ers were trying to give the game away, or that, like, for some reason the football gods would not let the 49ers lose. Like, on that drive, McCaffrey, like, fumbled the ball, and 2 Panthers defenders were right there to get it, but they just couldn't corral it, and Colton McKivitz recovered instead. And then shortly after, Brock Purdy threw the pick to J.C. Horn. So again, they were just intent on giving this game away. Ultimately, didn't end up hurting them, but yeah, I mean, that's how the first half went for the 49ers. So then, after the 3rd interception from Brock Purdy, Carolina's able to start that drive on the 49ers 33. And so the Panthers do settle for a field goal there. I do have to say, Mustafa and Jair Brown, but especially Jair Brown, incredible games from both of those guys. On that particular drive, they settled for a field goal because I believe it was Dowdle who had like a pass to the outside on the right side. Mustafa and Jair Brown just completely swarmed him and, hold it to a 4th down. So that was big from Mustafa and Jair Brown. The safeties were just great today, both of them. And so at that point, it's 7-3, and the 49ers get the ball back with 2 minutes left in the half. So they get a field goal. thanks to a big return from Sky Moore. Sky Moore, once again, being an asset on special teams. He had that 43-yarder and put them nearly at midfield. Purdy threw a pass to Kittle for 25 yards. There was still some somewhat questionable throws from Purdy on that drive, but all in all, they're able to get close enough thanks to Sky Moore getting them in pretty good position there. They're able to get a 47-yard field goal. So then they go up 10-3. And it's so weird because, again, you feel with how badly the Panthers were playing that the 49ers really should be up by more. And 10-3 just didn't feel like a secure enough lead at that point. But, you continue to see the Panthers just playing horribly. But this has kind of been the story for the Panthers all season. They're very much a second half team. So I was a little weary of that, just given how close the game was and given the mistakes that Brock Purdy made in the first half, with the picks. So, I wasn't completely ready to say this is for sure a 49ers win at halftime, even though they were up a score. It just didn't feel like enough. But in the third quarter is kind of when things started to settle down for 49ers, because they ultimately did go back to what worked for them, and that was the run game. And also for the Panthers, they just got bombarded with injuries as this game went on, and especially in that third quarter, it just felt like they had so many guys go down in that game, in that quarter. I saw a tweet actually about it. It was J.C. Horn exited. I thought there was another tweet. Let's see. They had two corners go out. I think one of their linebackers went out, and also their right guard. I don't think their right guard returned to the game either. So they were just depleted with multiple injuries and many on the defensive side of the ball. So that helped the 49ers even more in this game. And so the 49ers, in their first possession out of the half in the third quarter, they get a touchdown, again, returning to what worked for them, getting back to the run game. You get Christian McCaffrey, you get Brian Robinson, you get third down conversions. There were two on that drive, a third and 5, throw to Kittle, and then Kittle kind of did most of the work there to get beyond the stick. Or actually, sorry, that was the one that was thrown beyond the sticks. That wasn't the Yak one, but then there was a 3rd and 6 pass underneath to Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings gets extra yardage and is able to convert that one. And then finally, Christian McCaffrey with a 12-yard touchdown in which he was barely touched. Great blocking from everybody on that one. Run to the outside left side of the field. But the Panthers do answer back because, they're coming out of halftime and, at this point they're down more points. They're down 17-3, so they're kind of desperate to get something going, and they do get something going. So that was a touchdown to Ted McMillan, 29-yard touchdown. That drive, Sam O got hurt. It was reported an ankle injury for Sam O, and I know Kyle Shanahan is speaking with the media now. Let me see if he said anything about Sam O. I assume, though, it's just going to be one of those things we won't hear more about until tomorrow when, they do the testing on that injury. But as far as I know, that's the only injury from this game is Samo with the ankle injury. But, yeah, so then the Carolina Panthers scored there. And interesting enough, on the extra point kick, the 49ers got called for roughing the snapper penalty, and so it makes it so the Panthers could go for 2. They tried to go for 2. It's incomplete. Alfred Collins just barely getting a fingertip up on the pass that was going for the end zone there for the 2-point conversion, and it's able to disrupt that pass and make it so it falls incomplete. So big play from Alfred Collins. So and they really end up losing a point by going for 2 because they had the extra point before. So all in all, it didn't matter. The Panthers didn't score again after that. And the fourth quarter was super quick. I felt like the 49ers opened the fourth quarter with a field goal, 29-yard field goal, continuing to run the football. Again, it's working out for them. And then Carolina, when they get the ball back, Jair Brown, another interception. They're needing to throw the football now, right? And I got to say, like, Robert Saleh called a hell of a game. And I'm a little upset this happened in prime time, because I'm like, everyone around the league, or I imagine most people around the league, sitting down watching this game maybe and seeing how good Robert Saleh is calling this one, how impressive it is what Robert Saleh is doing with the guys he has on defense. Losing Bosa, losing Warner. You don't have Tatum Bethune out there either. And you have guys stepping up. You have a rookie, Upton Stout, who's playing well in this game, right? And you got Robert Saleh on the sideline fired up, and his guys playing hard for him. I don't know, man. This just looked like the type of performance from Robert Saleh that very well cements him in the conversations for a head coaching gig at the end of the year. Like, I know he's already in some of those conversations, but I feel like this one just solidifies it. Like, Robert Saleh's gone after this year. I think he's going to get an offer to be a head coach somewhere. I don't know where, but my God, I hope he stays. Like, by some miracle of God, I hope Robert Saleh stays. But anyway, he was tremendous. I mean, the defense played so well today, and I get it. You could look at it and be like, well, it's just the Panthers, but even still, it's the execution of it all. I mean, it looked good. It looked good. While I think they got just 1 or 2 sacks, right? Let me actually check this really quick. How many sacks did they get? Just one sack, and it was Clinton Farrell, and it was in the fourth quarter, I believe. But Bryce Huff played really hard. Like, there was a few moments Bryce Huff like either flushed Bryce Young out of the pocket, or simply forced him to have to throw the ball early. So like, there was pressure there. Also, blitzing. There was a lot of number of blitzes from Robert Saleh called at the right time, and they were successful. They had like an infographic up during the game that against blitzes, Bryce Young had his 2 picks. He threw his 2 picks facing the 49ers blitz. So, I would say great game called by Robert Saleh. Great game by the defense. Great game by Jair Brown, who, again, he had that second interception in the fourth quarter. Bryce Young just trying to squeeze it between 2 defenders, targeting McMillan. And I believe, so afterwards, they did show that Renardo Green got away with he did get away with pass interference there. He tugged the arm of McMillan on that one. And so McMillan not exactly in the spot where, Bryce Young was throwing that ball. Jair Brown instead was right there. I mean, I think it still maybe would have fallen incomplete because, like I said, like, he was draped by the coverage, McMillan was. So even still, I mean, just great performance from the 49ers. And on the Panthers' final drive, like, their field goal attempt, 57-yarder, just absolutely shanked. I mean, again, like, the Panthers in desperation mode couldn't even get a score because this defense was still on it, and so big credit to them and what they did today, holding the Panthers to just 9 points. I mean, the Panthers look like the worst 6-5 team that I ever saw, and now they're 6-6, but still, I mean, you got to give credit to the defense especially in the first half, just given Brock Purdy's performance in the first half and constantly giving the ball back to Carolina in favorable field position, like, dude, like the defense came through. The defense saved the offense today. And Christian McCaffrey, of course, but like you wouldn't have even had the luxury of running the football with Christian McCaffrey if your defense didn't hold off the Panthers on offense, So I think this win is on the back of the defense. Yeah, and my dad here is asking, is it fair to say the D won the game? Yes. I think so because yeah, had it not been for the defense, like let's just say the Panthers score on every one of Brock Purdy's interceptions, just hypothetically, you're not going to be running the football with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's stat line and Christian McCaffrey's day is only possible because of what the defense was able to do. But let's look at just some of these stats here. So, start with Brock Purdy, 23 of 32, 193 yards. He ended up with average per pass or per completion 6 yards. 1 touchdown thrown. That was the first one to Juwan Jennings. And 3 interceptions, passer rating of 58.5. Bryce Young wasn't much better. He had a passer rating of 60.8, 18 of 29, 169 yards, 5.8 average, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and sacked once. They were having a mid-off at quarterback today. The big thing, too, I think, is how the 49ers were able to stop the run of Carolina, because the Panthers are very dead set on running the football, especially early in games, and the 49ers just stymied the run game early where they couldn't even try it. Like, Dowdle only ended up with 6 carries. That's crazy. 6 carries for 38 yards. I'd say that's a win. It's a big win for the 49ers defense. Like I said, like they only had their long was of 17 yards by Dowdle. So on the other hand, Christian McCaffrey, 24 carries, 89 yards. Not the most efficient day. I mean, 3.7 yards per carry, but he had a touchdown on the ground. And he also added 7 catches for 53 yards. So that's good for over 100 total yards for Christian McCaffrey, all in a day's work for him. All in a day's work. So, all right, Kyle Shanahan is speaking with the media. You guys, so I didn't mention Juwan Jennings as an injury because wasn't really an injury, but he did. You might have seen that he was holding below the belt because apparently someone took a shot. Trevon Moehrig from the Panthers, he's their safety. He took a cheap shot in the balls of Juwan Jennings. This is according to Kyle Shanahan. And yeah, I think Juwan Jennings obviously really upset about that. You saw him like yelling, obviously in pain, and yeah, not cool. Not cool. But I think he's going to be all right. And as far as I know, like I said, seems like the only injury is to Sam O. So we'll keep tabs on that. But yeah, that's shady for Moehrig. I mean, don't do that. Don't do that. George Kittle, also a contributor today. 6 catches, 78 yards. Also all in a day's work for my guy, Kittle. Aside from that, like the pass game was kind of quiet. Jennings had 5 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown. So after the 3 interceptions, like I said, the 49ers did go back to the ground game, but even when they had to pass, it was very, very conservative from that point on. I'm not sure. Did Brock Purdy attempt a 10-yard pass after the 3 interceptions? I think I'm going to have to check on that. But yeah, I'm not sure that he did, and maybe for good reason. And I hate to say this, but some of that did remind me of Jimmy Garoppolo. It was a very Jimmy Garoppolo-esque sort of performance from Brock Purdy. And I didn't really used to have the feeling that I did when I watched Jimmy Garoppolo. Like when I watched Jimmy Garoppolo pass the football and you see it go, you're like, "Oh God, please don't be a pick." You're clenching your butt cheeks anytime Jimmy Garoppolo passed the football, hoping that this wasn't a pick, right? And then Brock Purdy just felt like a breath of fresh air in 2023 when he took over, and I didn't have that feeling. He was executing. His passes were just like always on the money. His guys were open. He was getting the ball to guys where he needed it to. It all just looked easy, right? And then 2024 happened. It didn't always look easy in 2024. 2024 last season. And I'm getting my dates mixed up. He took over in 2022, the end of 2022. But from that point to 2023, looked great. 2024 didn't always look great, didn't always look easy, but he did have some performances in 2024 with interceptions and, just things looking clunky sometimes. But still, I never had that Jimmy Garoppolo feeling where I'm like needing to be nervous about him throwing the football. And now I'm like, do I need to be nervous again for a 49ers quarterback throwing the ball 10 or more yards downfield? Am I going to have to assume this is an interception going forward? Like, I really hope not. But like I said, 3 games in the 4 that he's played where he's thrown at least 2 interceptions. I mean, that's just bad. And like that was one of the strong suits of Brock Purdy at one point where he wasn't throwing interceptions really. He had some close ones always, like definitely had some breaks, but now those are, even last week there were a few that could have been picked off by by the Cardinals. And he didn't throw any picks in that game, but he could have. the Arizona is just awful. Panthers also awful, but man, they got 3 interceptions. And like I said, I hope we're not going to go back to a Jimmy Garoppolo-esque offense, because that's kind of what it felt like the 49ers went back to after the 3 picks. Now, I do want Brock Purdy to be careful. Like, I don't need him to be overly aggressive when he doesn't need to be. I need him to take care of the football. But I also want the 49ers to move the ball. Like, you see the dilemma? Like, you die by Brock Purdy, you live by Brock Purdy and his aggressiveness. Today, the 49ers, in the first half, they died by it. In the second half, they said, okay, let's get the ball to Christian McCaffrey instead, and lived through that. And fortunately, the 49ers win this one. It wasn't pretty, but, again, I think from the defensive side of the ball, we could feel really good about what this defense is doing, what they're becoming. This is for real. Like, and it's crazy. My mind is blown, just knowing what they've overcome and just seeing them continue to grow and evolve each week with the current group of guys that are still there, that are healthy, and with Robert Saleh, it's just a joy to watch. I mean, Jair Brown, career game for him. Career game, 2 interceptions, and even outside of the interceptions, like, I liked everything that he was doing. He had great plays on run support as well. He looked pretty good in coverage. 2 passes defended, according to ESPN, 5 total tackles. Career game for him. I got to give him his props. Great to see. So, all in all, I mean, happy with the performance. I'm never not going to be happy about a win. 49ers won 20-9. This was a game within your conference. This was a game you had to win. I've been saying the 49ers need to win the games they're expected to win. You're expected to win this game against the Panthers. They do. So of these 3 games before the bye, 2 down, You got one more to go before this bye week at Cleveland. Early body clock game. 49ers have not won in Cleveland in 30 plus years. Absolutely insane. Hoping for the best, but I'm also expecting that one to be a bit of a clunker as well. It's going to be an ugly game. I'm afraid of Myles Garrett. Who isn't? I mean, he's a one-man wrecking crew. This Jim Schwartz defense always gives the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan fits. I'm not expecting it to be easy. Shedeur Sanders was announced as a starter for that game next week. And, I mean, we'll simply have to see how it goes. The way that the 49ers defense is playing, I think they'll be all right. I think they'll find some ways to make life difficult for Shedeur, and I think that they come away with a pick or two in that game as well. But the 49ers offense needs to play mistake-free football if they're going to win that game in Cleveland. And after what I saw from Brock Purdy today, I'm a little nervous, a little nervy about it. So we'll see how it goes. But one game at a time. And the 49ers, like I said, 2 out of the 3 that they needed to win before this bye week, down and good. So we could be happy about that. Victory Monday. And hey, we're going to enjoy it for a Victory Tuesday as well. Bit of a scheduling thing, right? Usually I do my Player of the Week shows on Monday. But of course, with the game happening, this is a post game. Tomorrow, I have to figure out what time I'm doing the Player of the Week show. I'm not going to be able to do it with Weston, but I think I'm going to plan it for tomorrow after Bully Ball. If you guys, are subscribed to YouTube and you guys see when we go live for Bully Ball, that is 5 p.m. Pacific time. So more than likely we'll be doing the Player of the Week show after that. All right. But hey, I do want to put a tab on this Brandon Ayuk discussion that I have not discussed yet here on 49 Carats. Lot to digest with that one. I haven't forgotten about it, but I want to dissect it real well. So definitely will be a topic probably on Thursday's show with Wayne. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you haven't yet. Like this video if you haven't yet. Appreciate you all. But hope you guys have a good rest of your Monday. Enjoy it, rest of your week. And if you don't tune into any other shows this week, hey, also have a happy Thanksgiving. But for now, folks, have a good rest of your Monday night. Peace.